Hey, this is Dave with the Living Lightly channel. Welcome. I want to show you how I've built my greenhouse. It took about a month to put together, working a couple of jobs. So let's get into it. It is 10 feet deep, 16 feet wide, 6 feet tall in the front, 8 feet tall in the back. It is a pole barn style. So I have 4x4 posts every 4 feet, concreted into the ground. And the glass I've been collecting for about a year. It's like really all this is roadside glass. I think I got 1 or 2 pieces at the Restore when it went on clearance. So it's a nice double thick, so it won't get too hot in the summer, hopefully, and it'll keep it insulated in the winter. And this window came from Chris. Thank you, Chris. So we got to rummage through his garage and he had these in there. So we got to take these home. I appreciate it very much. Okay, also up here, this is where some real cost came in. These poly panels, there's kind of plastic on the end, but these poly panels were over $100 each at Menards, but they perform amazingly. I did not want to put glass on top because of the weight. I wouldn't want anyone in there and it comes crashing down for some reason. Yeah, because I think these 2 layers in here really make a big difference. So the heat will come and, build up on this top channel and move out, and it keeps it a lot better insulated. I chose to build this 16 feet wide because I'm measuring 4-foot panels, and then in the back wall, OSB board, 4-foot panels. So there's supports every 4 feet. So it dictated 16 feet in length for everything I want to do inside. All the windows lined up perfectly. So I didn't measure the windows and then build around the windows. I said I need this 16 feet and I was just going to do patchwork with the windows, and what fit was great, what didn't would have to go, but everything lined up just perfectly. So this lined up, adding a door I found at a yard sale for 10 bucks, adding this window I got in a dumpster. Everything just lined up to 16 feet. So it's pretty, well, actually 15 and a half, and I put some poly material in there. So there's a lot of luck involved. And even in this door, it's like how I sealed it. Screw these in. Yeah. Yep, so that seals it up tight. All right, so even the rocks up front have a purpose. So this is south facing, so the sun comes, bounces off there. It just adds a little bit of light. Anything I can do to throw more light in the greenhouse is what I want to do. I mean, if I'm going to use rocks, I might as well use rocks that reflect light up front. There's a few sources of heat. Number one is the sun. So sun hits the thing, warms up nice. When the sun's out, in Indiana, when the sun is out for a few days and it's below freezing, I need an external source of heat. I don't want to use fossil fuels. I don't have any gas lines in there. So we created this. So this is a barrel heater. And then in this barrel heater, it's plumbed. So water is running in and through this barrel heater. The water is heating up and going back inside. And there's a storage tank of water inside, we'll show you in a second, that will heat up to say 120, 150 degrees. So you have this nice hot tank of water in there that's radiating heat for days.
It's like
the whole thing in the shadow.
Yeah, it would take it's okay, it'll work. You can bring the highlights down post-production. Cool shot.
All right, side note on this. Whoa. Start again. All right, side note on this barrel heater. It is extremely dangerous if, say, these pipes are stopped up for some reason, like ice isn't allowing a water flow through here, and there is water heating up, building up in the pipes. It could be extremely dangerous. This generates so much heat that it could create an explosion. I mean, I have relief valves on here, but man, if there's something stopped up on the inside, it's dangerous. So make sure there's a nice clean water flow and it's continually moving, and you won't generate pockets of steam in there and have some vapor lock or some explosion. So be careful if you ever make something like this. All right, so the cold water is being drawn from the bottom with one of these pumps I got at Harbor Freight. So you can imagine this is way down here at the bottom. It is coming up through the blue tube, going out to the barrel heater, coming back in, and I'm letting the water go to the surface. So then I'll get a nice steam in here. So it's a little tropical feeling. Once this heats up, it's got a tropical feel to it. Very humid.
Okay.
All right, the back walls are OSB board. Attach these 4x4s, which are a few feet in the ground. I have a 2x4. Everything is treated in here. Hopefully the water saturation these can handle that water saturation over the years. We'll find out. It is, so I did get treated lumber. At least, hopefully it'll be okay not painted, but if I see it's starting to deteriorate, we'll get some paint on it. But this reflective insulated material, I have two different kinds. I don't have a preference. This is that bubble wrap reflective, and this is something else I found on the shelf at the box store. So I want to get light, through the poly panels, bouncing off here, back onto the sun. So if you've ever started seeds and put them by a window, you'll know how they'll bend towards the sun. My hope is that I won't have a big of problem with that if I'm getting light reflecting from both directions. All right, try to use solar power whenever possible. I have 200-watt panels on the roof, which is why I built these poly panels. Okay, so I have these 8-foot poly panels, but it's a 6-foot greenhouse. So they come up right up in here, and then I put plywood up top here, reflective material, and on that plywood, it's a strong enough structure to hold those 200-watt panels. And those 200-watt panels, power is going around back, coming in here, going through this kill switch, and going to these 12-volt plugs. I want to use 12 volts as much as possible. So this pump that I was using for the water tank, this is a 12-volt pump. It does have a fuse, but no inverter. So everything plugged in has these DC plugs and runs off 12 volt, and there is a fuse inside here. So if it was getting too much power, it would blow out. I've been running fans like this straight off of panels for years, and they just keep lasting, and there's been no issues. So I have plenty of fans in here. To keep the air circulating. I have a 12-volt fan up there. There's a window in that corner. And then we're going to go to the other corner. Also, that window opens there. And several of these windows do open up. So in the summertime, this can be opened up with a nice breeze inside. So, okay, back to electrical. We have power running the 12-volt pump, running the fans, and running this aerator. This aerator is going into the tank. And if we can get a shot of the bubble. Hold on.
Okay.
So when the sun goes away, like it just did, and if I want something to function, I do have an extension cord I can pull out, and I'll use this so it plugs in 110, converts to DC. So I can take that pump, because I want that water to keep moving, and keep things going if I need to. Also, yeah, this is a great light in the evening time if I have to come out here at night. And it plugs in to a DC, and so it'll charge during the day and I can use it at night. Okay, my water source is Rainwater. I don't want to use tap water because it tends to kill some of the microbes. In my opinion, Rainwater just seems to do so much better and is healthier for the soil. Alright, so I have a rain gutter taking up half the building. I didn't run it across the whole thing because the door got in the way, but half should be sufficient. It comes down these rain gutter pipes into this 35-gallon tank. I'm filtering it using some lava rocks. I had some of those laying around, and a spaghetti strainer. So this is a spaghetti strainer with some lava rocks in it. And that's my filter. Fill up my bucket, and then got this find on Craigslist. But it did stop working recently, so I might either need a new one or a different pump or something to get the water from the tank to the growing bin. So let's take a look at the growing bin. Right, so I found this 6-foot stock tank by the side of the road, and what I mounted it on, I put it on a platform of cinder blocks around and some supports in between, and then a bunch of river rock. So it's sitting on like an air chamber, so air can flow underneath. So it's not sitting directly on the ground. I'm able to use one of these fans and pump the hot air that is up here down and underneath this bin. In the bin itself, I punched holes, so I have 1-inch holes, and then laid out river rock, and then a layer of screen, and then a fabric. It's like the wee barrier fabric, and then a layer of sand. So I'm going to get nice drainage through here. Worms have been composting the grains that I've been putting in here. All right, we keep this out here kind of far away from the house because we'll put kitchen scraps in there. You see, like, there's some old grapes and squash that didn't make it, things like that. And sometimes critters want to come around and snack on them, which is fine, but so that's why I want it away from the house. And we'll get, there'll be flies in here if you don't bury that food in the summer anyway. So this is about 1 year old. Yeah, actually, this is 1 year old leaves that are down here. So I'm digging out year-old stuff. And you see it's very broken down. There's some oats that are in there, and that's great for the worms. Microbes love the oats. So you can see how much is already broken down into soil. It's November right now. All right, I'm not sure how I am going to do this with one hand, but you know, this is definitely something. Throw some gloves on. And these are 1-year-old leaves that I have collected from, just from the neighborhood. And they have been sitting in that bin with some food thrown on, kitchen scraps thrown on top of them. Kitchen scraps aren't too valuable. I really like the alkaline soil that this creates. So I'll take this and I tack down a 1/2-inch screen, and I'll just bang this thing up and down, spread it around with some gloves, shake it. I'll take what's left, put it back in the bin, maybe get it next year. So you can see I ended up with some great organic material in here. And really, this is worm food for the winter. I'll probably end up planting something in here, see if it grows, but this will even go through the winter, another season, and then in the spring, this is, my guess, it's going to be some of the best soil I've ever had. Just to keep the frost off, this will radiate a lot of warmth. The greenhouse temperature actually goes up about 3 or 4 degrees with one candle lit. So this will radiate out and keep all the frost off of the plants.